Hello. This is the 201st Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2225, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. And I'm putting the past in podcast with sunglasses.
Mm-hmm. It's a very bright day, so it makes sense.
Yes, especially inside.
Exactly.
It's the 21st century sunglasses that you brought back.
Yeah, but I brought them back a few weeks ago.
Yes. I know this now.
Right now, because having been back there yourself, you've seen firsthand where they came from.
Yes, although I didn't see anybody wearing sunglasses.
We went in the winter, so...
Yeah, and in the evening.
Yeah, nighttime, I guess, was more the point.
Okay, but it looks good, huh?
Mm-hmm. It did.
Makes everything else a lot harder. No idea why people were wearing them, but it looks nice.
I think it may be... I mean, we went in the winter. Maybe, in general, it was much brighter in the past.
That could be, because we're taking a lot of solar energy to use for energy. Maybe the sun is getting weaker. More. We don't need it anymore.
Using it up faster, yeah.
We just really spontaneously come up with some really good conclusions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's how the sun works.
Yes, today's not about sunglasses. Yeah. It's about Laurie Keet. Mm-hmm. But before we get to Laurie Keet, we got a few listener questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, asking about, so specifically because last week's episode kind of ended suddenly.
Yeah.
We didn't actually wrap it up properly. We just said, hey, we're going to go see what, was it? Someone was doing something with the food conglomeracy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was all kinds of things
anyway,
going on at the party. And then
we didn't get back to the recorder, and then it got sent back automatically before we could get to it.
Yeah, and normally we would have gotten back to it after the party. It's just the party lasted for a few days.
Yeah, it was a long. It
was definitely a long party. I mean, we have time, 21st, 23rd century, we have a lot of time. So everything lasts longer, parties last longer. Yeah, so sorry about that. So I understood from our listeners, it didn't even have music at the end. People were missing the music.
Oh, there's a regular song that plays at the end of episodes, yeah?
Yeah, I guess because we didn't wrap it up properly, just send it back without.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But hope you enjoyed it anyway. I hope the episode was at least...
Maybe we'll work out episode 300.
Yes.
We'll work it out a bit better.
Exactly. By the time we get to 300, we'll have this worked out.
Yeah.
And some people were also complaining after our 100th episode. I remember there was something about this as well.
They didn't even get it, apparently.
True. So this is already a step up.
Yeah. This
time they got half an episode. Just listen to 100 more episodes and you'll get a full
less than 2 years.
Yes, exactly.
It's not long at all.
Stick around. Okay, so moving on to the topic of the week, especially because with the party we had a bit of an exceptional theme. Maybe we had a bit of time travel discussion. So it's about time we get back to a normal.
Sure, back to episodes as normal, yeah?
Yeah,
like the show
exactly.
is normal. Because, we had 3 weeks in a row involving either us going back to the past or someone from the past.
And then talking about the past, and then was a lot
Let's talk about the future.
Let's talk about the future. Or
our present.
Our present.
Our listeners' future.
So, Laurie Keet. This is not a technology, this is a person.
Yep, a very famous person.
Yeah.
Influential.
You want to tell the listeners?
Yeah. So very famous. She's a robot, mostly known for being a star catcher.
Yeah.
We mentioned her in our episode about that some time ago.
True.
She was one of basically the first batch, like one of the initial star catchers. She was there right at the start. That's how she built her fortune.
I think the fortune...
Oh, she had a bit of a fortune before that? Okay, but it's kind of relative, yeah? Like,
she
was rich then, that's how she got into it, but then since then it's
that's true. That's
exponential.
True. And I think I'm not sure if she actually, let's say, initiated the star catching or came up with the idea. I don't think that's the case.
I think so. No.
But she really jumped on it.
Exactly. Did I mention she's a robot? I forget.
Yes, you did. I did. Yeah. And so about star catching, I think if you want to know all the details about star catching, we have this episode.
Yeah.
But just like a brief summary, it's an initiative of drawing another star from another star system to ours.
Exactly.
Just
in case, a backup.
Exactly. Just in case ours runs out.
Which we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, it might be sooner rather than later. So we were, I think, joking. I don't think the Earth using solar power, we use it much more than we used to in the past, say 200 years ago, but I don't think we're using it to the extent that we're actually going to use up the sun any faster. But still, to have a backup.
Just in case.
Just to have a backup.
And this sounds relatively crazy. It is also relatively crazy 23rd century, we could do all of the things, but dragging a star over, okay, sure.
That is next level, yeah.
But it was interesting that why she's into star catching.
Because she's a robot, yeah?
Exactly.
Robots think on a different timescale than humans. We live 130, 140 years. Maybe we'll push it a little bit longer. But robots, they can upgrade, replace their body parts as they break. They can, as far as we know, they can be immortal. Maybe not actually immortal, but definitely they think in terms of like thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So they really are worried about what happens if the sun runs out, That's an unlikely thing, but still, they want to plan for all eventualities, especially because they do rely so much on solar power.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're going to be around for a while and you rely on some energy source that might just run out, okay, you might want to start thinking about it because, like, especially if we do actually need another star, it sounds like, tomorrow we need another star. Yeah. Does anybody have one?
And that's the most talked about reason for it. There were the more fancy folk who are like, how about we have an extra one, not necessarily in our solar system, because that might mess things up gravity-wise, but, much closer by, and build a Dyson sphere around it and harness all of its output, not do this thing where you just have a little bit on one small planet orbiting, but literally a Dyson sphere around the entire extra star. That's even more far-fetched than bringing a star here, so.
And it also needs some planning.
Yep, and that's what Laurie Keet is all about.
Yes, exactly. She's going to be around for a while, not as long as we are. So for us, it's less of a pressuring problem. It's like, future generations and so on. But for us, for her and other robots, it's not future generations per se.
It will be, but it will also be them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But also the other hand, robots can handle a little bit more, let's say, environmental situations.
Yeah, they have a wider range. Like humans, there's this small range of temperature and pressure, atmospheric pressure and gravity and so on, that we can live in comfortably. It's broadened a little bit with our cyborg chips, but it's still relatively narrow compared to robots, which could be a much broader spectrum.
Exactly.
They can live in the vacuum of space.
Yeah, exactly. Or when it's in a volcano or on Mercury, exactly. Or when it's really cold. Even and so on.
Venus as well.
And also the thing is, like, we bring another star over to our star system. Okay, maybe it gets hotter. Like that.
Sure.
They don't really mind.
No.
Like, okay, we do. So
yeah. They're not going to impose it upon us all, but
but that's why some people are not so super fan of star catching.
Yeah. But that's where robots thinking so long term helps, because sure, people are in theory concerned, and then they hit, but this is a project that's probably going to take at least 10,000 years. At that point, people are like, humans rather are like, okay, do what you want.
And by that time, we've evolved to be able to handle. Right.
Exactly.
And if you drag the star slowly towards a slowly increasing the temperature, then we'll evolve.
Evolution would take a bit longer than 10,000 years, but sure, maybe it takes long enough for that to be.
Maybe the sun just takes a lot longer to cool down. We're really getting into star catching at the moment.
Right, which is important for Laurie Keet. But okay, we I think have a tangent there.
At the moment, we'll get to some of the things that she did in her career, but I think especially the star catching is how she gets in the news most of the time at the moment.
Yeah,
so it feels a little bit more. It doesn't feel like a profit based undertaking, right? It's more like she's already rich and famous, whatever. So try to do something good that requires. Maybe money and fame, maybe to get it done.
Influence,
Yeah, exactly. So she could also just be laying in her hammock somewhere, enjoying the sun.
No one would think, some people would, not many people would think badly of her for doing that. But right, she's using her time and effort to look into this.
Maybe she's going to show up in your program at some point. After she's done with the star catching, she's going to be in the personal leisure.
Personal leisure, yeah, maybe one day.
That would be cool.
Would be. There aren't so many robots that actually are people of leisure.
Oh, really?
Mostly humans.
Okay.
An occasional animal, but
I think maybe also for us, because they live forever. I guess like at one point becoming a person of leisure means not doing anything anymore forever.
Well, no, you don't have to do anything forever, yeah. So, but just I'm saying that.
True, actually.
I'm not saying there aren't any. Just not the majority.
Fair enough. Okay, so shall we do a
jump
bit
back a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, where did she start out?
Yeah.
Because the current thing, we're doing that thing where we say the future, and now we're going all the way back in time.
Exactly.
Kind of. A few decades. She's not that old. But yeah, then the thing that sort of the first real project where she built up her fortune was actually cleaning space debris. So debris in orbit, specifically debris in orbit of Earth. Space junk.
That already made her famous, right? So because especially with the star catching and some of the other stuff that she did since then, you kind of forget that she initially was like a famous space cleaner. Mm-hmm. She was already famous back then. I do remember her.
Yeah.
Almost forgot that she started out like that.
It was a combination of basically her company being one of the most effective companies at clearing space junk, and then also the marketing of her company was really nice. Basically they had a lot of panache, a lot of fun. So because in theory no one needs to know about it, but her company really marketed themselves well. They released videos showing what they were doing,
and they were probably recycling, making like a cycle. How do you call it? A cycle?
A virtuous cycle or circle?
No, like they were reusing everything.
Sure, yeah.
Cycle economy. I'm not sure what the word is.
Not sure the word you're going for, but using the stuff they collected, not like just shooting it off into the sun.
Or blasting it.
Yeah, but using it to then build more of the devices, the robots that they needed to actually clear up more space debris.
And also, any money that they were making, then they were investing in programs, especially on some of the outer moons and planets of, being a bit more conscious about your stuff. Just because you live in zero gravity doesn't mean you can let everything just float away.
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing, where this was one of the unexpected things, I think, for most people at the time, that her company, rather than being like, cool, space junk, that's our business, let's just make sure everyone keeps throwing out space junk so we can clean it up. A lot of their profit actually went into educating people not to, like you say. And in the end, they basically put themselves out of business, but that was their goal from the start, was to actually clean up the skies and not have all this stuff floating around, smashing into things, causing problems. So that was really nice, yeah. Like a company that doesn't just go, hey, we're going to make money doing this thing forever, but rather had a goal and achieved it, and in achieving it, put themselves, at least that aspect of their company, out of business.
True, because they still clean up asteroids, right?
Yeah, sure. There's still other stuff to clean up, They have a lot of expertise in that regard.
Just very little space debris.
Yeah, they no longer need to clean stuff in orbit, like all the random stuff that falls off satellites or people throw out there a lot, like I say.
That's what I find interesting, the actual asteroid cleaning, because usually the asteroids clean up themselves because they either just pass through, but occasionally they just get into some orbit, crash into a planet, can be a little bit annoying. Yeah. Especially the smaller ones. Whenever Sol detects some, they just, ask a bunch of companies that are specialized in this, there's some asteroids coming, who wants to clean them up? And they do this. Yeah.
I just realized for our listeners, asteroid cleaning, not in the sense of going down, landing on an asteroid and vacuuming, cleaning it, but in the sense of, exactly, it's flying through somewhere and it's going to maybe smash into something or cause issues, pushing it aside, getting it out of the way.
Or just catching it and releasing it somewhere else, or stuff like that. Or repurposing.
Yep.
Because sometimes they put it in an orbit, at least.
Change the orbit.
Not sure how often that happened, but whenever they do it, it's because sometimes they just put it in orbit around a planet or a moon, and then it can be colonized. You can put like living quarters on it, or like a relay station or whatever. Pretty cool stuff. But I think that kind of categorizes Laurie Keet, right? Because he kind of has these very creative ideas, to how to deal with problems, but also how to turn a problem into an opportunity. Yeah. And then also constantly not, being driven by the problems, but basically proactively identifying them, like with star catching. Okay, it's not a problem yet, but it might just be at some point.
And it's like a really distant future thing, but sure, it's like a logical extension of space junk, asteroids, several steps in between, and then stars.
Actually, true. I hadn't even thought it through like this. Makes sense. But I like it because so we're talking a little bit about all her space stuff, but she's done a lot more because every time she has an idea, she has a solution, and come up with a structure to deal with it. So she has many ideas, and also she's founded, I don't know how many companies. I literally don't know. Maybe it's not so much, but it feels...
Presumably there's somewhere where it's listed, like a total, but couldn't find it. In that sense, it's a little bit obfuscated. Many companies, and of course not. So one person, even one robot, cannot do this all alone. Yeah. Point is, she's built up all these companies with all these regular collaborators, and yeah, they've done a lot of amazing things.
And then because she's had quite a few successes, I guess probably also a few failures. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mostly the successes I know about. That she always gets a few investors on board. And they always want her to get things done fast, to promise, hey, it's going to be ready soon, it's going to be ready next year. She's also saying it's going to be ready when it's ready.
Yeah. I think by now, investors understand that, but definitely early on, there was a push for delivering sooner rather than later. But right from the start, she insisted, like you say, that it will be ready when it's ready, not to rush things, not to overpromise. It's an obvious thing, but to under-promise and over-deliver rather than the other way around.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So it's like, we don't know when, and then the day after, it's like, by the way, it's ready. Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, that probably didn't happen, but...
Not exactly like that, but some companies are this way, other ones aren't. It's refreshing. It's I like it when companies do it that way, when people do it that way,
I remember, we definitely have to speak about QuickQuack.
Yeah, that was...
Because
next, we're talking so starting out with cleaning up space debris, next big step was buying QuickQuack.
Yeah, and because we just mentioned she founded quite a few companies based on her ideas. QuickQuack already existed for a very long time.
Exactly, as well as founding new companies, she also buys a lot of companies. And QuickQuack was the biggest at the time, the biggest one she'd done it up to that point. Previously to that, they'd been relatively small companies. No one had really heard of them. QuickQuack, a social media company, had been around for decades. People knew about that.
Yeah.
People were heavily invested, in terms of their personal life.
I had an avatar there. Actually, I have an avatar there. Spoiler, because they're still around.
Sure, but you don't use it so much anymore?
No, I mostly use Chorus first.
Sure.
Because, I know they're not exactly the same, but I feel that they're competing for the same time.
Like the kinds of things you would want to do or talk about. Or...
It's also because if you feel like a walk in nature, I don't do either one. I go for a walk in nature. But if I feel like experiencing this virtual environment, they're kind of both virtual environments, right? So Chorus first, just for the listeners, you probably know, but we did an episode about this. It's a virtual reality world. You're completely in there and you live there and you can spend days there. It's quite exciting. And I definitely spent quite some time there. QuickQuack is a little similar. They don't have these chairs that the Chorus first has, where you can basically lay in and then enter. But it's still similar. And you have your own avatar, and that's because it's maybe slightly controversial that she bought them because she's a robot, wanted to join just as as everybody does, and I made a robot avatar, and this wasn't accepted by the
by QuickQuack. Yeah, exactly. You said no, you have to be a real, so a human. You have to be a real person, a human. Wouldn't allow you to make an avatar that was a robot.
And
that's illegal. That was illegal now, but it was also illegal.
Yeah, it was already just they hadn't gotten around to it back then, and then
exactly because QuickQuack was so old. When it was built, that wasn't even a problem.
Yeah,
and they hadn't got around to updating it that it would allow a robot avatar, and that's pretty bad.
That's exactly, and I think maybe I don't know. Maybe the robots aren't the kind to complain so fast, or they just had other things to do. Maybe they were, I don't know.
They do think on a longer time scale, so sure they, various robots would have complained, send feature requests or bug reports and so on. And then sure, maybe they're thinking, as long as this is fixed in the next 100 years, I'm fine. Okay, Laura Keet has a little bit, although she does think long term, she also is not quite so patient as that.
Yes. Or maybe she had been patient for a while, I don't know, but at one point it was just like, I've had enough of this. And then, of course, robots have been, sentient for the longest time. And then for the longest time they weren't. And then they were. And there was this adjusting phase, for everybody. So for both the robots, the humans, but also all the structures and the systems and whatever, to basically have all the updates and upgrades until everything was kind of like working. But like some examples of QuickQuack just didn't get around to change the old code. Maybe there was nobody around anymore that knew how it worked. And then as far as I understood, she bought the company, took over as a CEO, had it fixed, then gave everybody a bonus for fixing it so fast, reduce some working hours.
Yeah, right. I think that was the first company to go from a 4-day working week to a 3-day working week.
That's
like as a standard thing across the company.
Could be, or at least one.
Either way, reduce the hours at least.
And then implemented this equality codex kind of thing to make sure that everything is always checked. And then she left again.
Yeah, like maintained ownership, but exactly stepped away from day-to-day running of the company.
And this was, of course, popular with the robots, but everybody else thought, okay, this is nice.
Yeah,
and also the company itself kind of felt good about themselves afterwards. That's how it was presented in the media anyway. Yeah. I don't know if that was actually the case, but that's, she used her influence to kind of,
to improve things,
nudge things on.
Yeah. And not improve things like for just a few people, but for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you know she's also good friends with Mercedes? The former president of Brazil.
I mean, I didn't know it. No, I didn't know that.
Okay. No, she was actually. I mean, Mercedes, she's no longer the president of Brazil, but until a few years ago she was. And she's also known for doing quite a few good things.
Right.
And
that was Laurie Keet's influence?
At least they were friends and advised on a few things.
Maybe bounced ideas off each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure how they got to know each other or how they befriended each other, but it's she said, hey, you're the president of Brazil, how about this or that? I don't know how that came to be.
No, sure. We were not there listening in, but
we could check
they had
the
a good influence on each other. We could check the cams, but we're not going to do that right now.
No. Apparently, the at least the one thing that I read, like I said, not sure if it's how much truth is in there, but in Brazil they cleaned up a lot of the old roads through the rainforest.
Right. They didn't just leave them there; they actually tore them up, and
because of teleportation and hover vehicles and so on, we didn't need the roads anymore, but they were still there. And of course, because there weren't so many cars on there, they didn't really mind. Animals could cross them. Nature was slowly overgrowing them, but they made a point of it. Hey, no, we put them there. We'll take them
clean
away.
Up after ourselves.
Yeah, a lot of asphalt and so on, and that made the renaturalization apparently a lot faster there. Yeah, so apparently she had a say in that, or a role. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay, and then when I'm looking at my notes here, and I just noticed this earlier today. Actually, like super breaking news. Breaking news.
I didn't check the news yet today.
Yeah, I mean, breaking news. It's just an announcement, so more like a rumor, but a rumor that she's working, or not her personally, but her companies. They've started work on something called a Hyperduck.
Cool.
Yes. What's a Hyperduck? We don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah. But it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is it going to be ready tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. It'll be ready when it's ready. It says here in the announcement. Ready when it's ready. I think that's I know that's like their tagline. Yeah. Like they play with it a little bit when they announce things for the first time. They always make sure to put that at the end.
Okay. Cool. I hope it's going to be ready soon. We can make a podcast episode about it.
All about it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Laurie Keet. Anybody have any questions? No. Okay. But we did get listener questions. Or at least one that we wanted to talk about.
This one or a different one?
We had.
Let me check one second.
Well,
this one and this one.
I'm checking my lens now, but it's not working really properly with my sunglasses. I know we had two.
Yeah. So there's this. Okay, now there's this one from Antoine, and then there's another one. So should we do the one from Antoine first? So I can read it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm really enjoying all these ad-free episodes that are not behind the paywall. But then, how are you making money? Ciao. Thanks, Antoine, for the email. We are not making money.
We're not making money. At least not from the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. You have a job, of course. But not from the podcast.
How
would we even do that? Yeah, we're making it here in the year 2225, sending it back in time 200 years. We're not there to make money from it.
And we already have money.
Exactly. We're set.
So, see, I'm drinking stuff. I'm wearing clothes. Why would I need more money?
Yeah. We're indoors.
Yeah.
But right, there was this second email. Here it is. So, this is from someone called Chris Cox. And they say, hi, I randomly got this recommended to me on YouTube and decided to give it a listen. Just wanted you to know that I loved the concept and really enjoyed it. Going to listen to some others. Cheers, Chris.
Cool. This is not a question, but...
not a question, but an email. Thank you, Chris. I think we may have mentioned YouTube months ago or years ago at this point. Like someone told us about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That our episodes were... Irene, that was it. iPod Irene.
Yeah, I think she's the one putting them on YouTube, right? I think so.
I can't really remember anymore.
I think she's the one putting the episodes on YouTube. So.
But that's nice that Chris found Test from the Future on YouTube.
Yeah. And he really loved the concept, and he's going to listen to some other concepts.
That's what they wrote. And hope you enjoy it, Chris.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think that was it for emails.
Yeah. So
I think we're done for the week.
Exactly. After party, Laurie Keet, listener questions.
Mm-hmm. Shall I wrap up?
Yes.
So, listeners to Test from the Future in the year 2025, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com. Put the number 201 in the subject line so that we know this episode successfully went back in time. And if you have any questions or comments, please include those in your email too.
All right. Then thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.